All right, so I did White Sands National Park in New Mexico. All right, so some of the questions that are going to be on the quiz. Number 1, what forms white sand? Number 2, what state is White Sands Park located? Number 3, how many dunes are located in the monument? Number 4, how many miles long is the park? And number 5, what kind of weather do they normally get in their season? Right, so here's a map of the White Sands National Monument. As you can see, it's located in New Mexico. Down south, you got El Paso. Over here to the west, you got Phoenix, Arizona. Then to the east down here, you got Texas. So it's a very dry area in these southern states. All right, so some geology of the White Sands. Obviously, it's known for its white sand. It was established in 1933. And the Air Force actually uses 40% of the sand for its missile range and bullets. They have the largest dune field in the world. And they actually have 4 different kind of dune fields that you can find in the White Sands. So the first one, Barkhan, is a crescent-shaped dune formed in areas when you get a lot of strong winds with their nose pointed into the wind and arms pointing downwind, and they travel up to about 330 feet a year. So they get pretty big, and they get very heavy as well. The next one is U-shaped. These are found along the edges of the dune field. They're the slowest moving dunes, and they crawl less than 8 feet, so that's very small. The next one is transverse. These dunes form in areas when you get a lot of sand or clusters, and they build up. The next one, dome. These are the first dunes to form downward toward Lake Lucero. So they're very low mounds, and they move up to about 30 feet per year. These dune fields are very old. They're over 25,000 years old, so they've been there for a while, many years. And the White Sands is located in the Tulasara Basin. Now they call the Tulasara Basin because it's called a graben, the Tulasara, because it has no outlet for surface water because they get very little water. It's like a bathtub with no drain. It can't empty out. All right, so how's it formed? How do you get this white stuff? How do you get the white sand? Gypsum. Gypsum forms the white sands. It's a common mineral in the surrounding San Andreas Mountains. Gypsum is very tiny. It's soft, dissolves in water. You can almost scratch it with your nail. These white sands are 275 square miles long. And actually, before they were the White Sands, it used to be an ice age back in the day. So it used to all be sea. There used to all be water and a big sea there. It was covered in water, but the sea level began to fall. This water washed gypsum from the San Andreas and Sacramento Mountains into a huge lake that filled the Tulasara Basin. So these dunes of the White Sands National Monument, they continue shifting every day. And some of them, they move at about 9 meters per day. So they're, with the wind, those strong currents, they're blowing them continuously. So the weather, what's the weather like? How does the weather affect these rigid white sands? June through August, summertime, they get an average temperature about 95. So that's about normal here in Pennsylvania. You got your hot days. Some of them reach up to 110. So obviously you got very dry over there. So you're going to hit over 100. The night times, they cool down a little bit. They go down about 50 to 60 degrees. Then they get a lot of rain. They do get a lot of rain over there between July and September. They hit up to about over 10 inches of rain. So as you can see in Pennsylvania, you know, we got a lot of rain this year, but not compared over there. So July and September is their peak of rain season. Then down through September, November, it starts to warm up a little bit. Temperatures averaging about 80 degrees, so still warm, still humid. And lows down about 65, so not too cold. Medium range weather. Then down in December through February, daytime temperatures around 60 degrees. Night they start to cool down a little bit, dropping down to 23 degrees. So the big winter storms over there consist of a lot of rain, heavy rain. You don't see sleet. You don't see a lot of snow over there. They get limited snow, but their big storms are mostly rain. So they'll get a lot of floods, and they'll get them in bunches over there compared to up here in the Northeast. We get snowstorms. We get northeasters. They're mostly focused on big rainstorms. Then down March through May, temperatures are about 75 degrees. And they drop down about 40 at night. So how do we? Well, I'll go back here a second. How do we get these sand dunes? So how do they form? So as the mineral-rich water evaporates in the desert, the gypsum crystallizes. So the weather reduces these crystals to sand-sized grains. The strong winds, they blow across the Lake Lucero. They pick up these gypsum particles, carrying them downward. As the gypsum accumulates to dunes, they bounce up on the dune, creating a ripple surface. So that's why you see those ripples in the white sands, as I'll show you in a little bit. And these dune fields are surrounded by the San Andreas and Sacramento Mountains. Now this is just a chart here, as you can see, the months of the year here in the White Sands Park. You can look at the temperature here, you know, so there's summer, May through August down here. You know, it gets pretty hot, 80 up to about 94. That's normal for us here. But take a look at here. July through September, they're getting hit with rain, over 1 inch of rain. August, it hits over 2 inches of rain. Down October, you're still getting 1 inch of rain per month. I mean, 2 inches per month of rain is just insane because it is so dry over there. Here's another chart here. This shows you the average rainfall per month. And as you can see, about June through August, how that peaked there, it picks up about a ½ inch over, almost about 2 inches of rain. It's just incredible. And then as you drop down here, October to December, it drops down. So, like I said earlier, May through September, they're getting bunches of rain. They're getting hit hard. All right, so some interesting facts about the White Sands. They have over 800 animal species that live in the park. Lizards, birds, foxes, rattlesnakes, kangaroos. And the sand dunes are cold. Most of the time they're cold throughout the day. The gypsum doesn't absorb heat, but it reflects from the sun, so it makes that sand look very white, when in reality, when you see it, it actually isn't. And another cool fact is they actually shot Transformers 1 and 2 right there in the park. And in the winter, they actually open the park to the tourists to go sledding and tubing, as they can go down the hills and the sand dunes. So 3 parks of the sand dunes. Here's a couple listed here. Down here on the left, we got the coral pink sand dunes in Utah. You see, you got that little orange color there, pinkish down here. Very, very dry area there. Down here in the middle, we got the Jockeys Ridge State Park, North Carolina. And, you know, that sand looks like you're at the beach. It looks like you're down on the Jersey Shore. Right there on the coast of the water. Very sandy there. And up top here, the Great Sand Dunes National Park in Colorado. So you got a lot of mountains here. As you see, you know, they get a lot of snow. and the altitude is very high, which, you know, becomes the very high sand dunes over there. Here's just another picture of New Mexico white sands. And there you see those rigid white sands there from the wind. This one's here with the sun reflecting on it. All right, here's a map now of the Great Sand Dunes in Colorado, located right here in Denver. Down south here, you got New Mexico. As you go up north, you hit Wyoming. Up here northeast, you got Nebraska. El Paso down here south. Phoenix, Arizona down here to the west. Let's look at the coral pink sand here in Utah, located right here. As to my left here, you got Las Vegas, California, LA. You go down south, you got Phoenix. So it's very dry over there as well. And it's very relatively close to the Great Sand Dunes. The coral pink, they're very in proximity to each other. And the last one, the Jockey's Ridge, as you can see all the way to the coast of the water here in Outer Banks, North Carolina. You go up north, you got Delaware, Jersey, Philly. Come down south here, we got North Carolina, South Carolina, right there on the coast there. So you're gonna get a lot of wind from the ocean. All right, so here's the questions of the quiz, the answers. Number 1, what forms white sand? Gypsum, C. Number 2, what state is the White Sands Park located? New Mexico, C. How many dunes are located in the monument? That will be 4, as I mentioned earlier. How many miles long is the park? 275 miles, B. And number 5, what kind of weather do they normally get? As I mentioned earlier, what do they get? They get those bunches of rain throughout the middle of August through September. Here's just some citations, and that's it.